about the basic universal needs that is going to be rolled out. It's on good authority from people within the military that have confirmed the likelihood of a $2,000 a month allowance for those that comply with what is required to benefit from that which we've never claimed the right to, except for those who have. So, as he cleans himself, I just want to clean up some misunderstandings around identity that I believe would benefit you to be aware of, including the fact benefits and privileges are not the same as rights. Rights are what we have to claim with our hand that uses a pen to put men and women on notice in their private capacity while filling public positions. That they must honor that which we claim or make a higher claim of right to that which we have claimed. If they do not or cannot, then our claim stands as true so long as we have given them a time frame to respond within, which is honorable. And if they don't, then they are no longer acting in good faith should they try to say, we don't have the rights that we claimed, which is why lawful notices are so important. However, there is a big difference between putting a position on notice versus putting the man or woman filling that position on notice. I often reference the pronouns because the first, second, and third person pronouns are so significant. The first is actually the propria persona, which is the first person, which is the office of man. Now, these are legal constructs outside of what is actually real, which is no construct at all, for I and he are enjoying this moment together without any identities outside of the fact that we love one another. You know what I'm saying? I is first person. We is first person. Them, he, she, it, that, theirs, themselves, his self, herself. Those are third person pronouns that move us into the legal person, which is where then we become the debtor because we've allowed a second person, which is the agent working for the principal that used to be the first person, to make decisions on behalf of the third person, which is the ward, infant, or imbecile that allowed another to speak for them. And 4 years ago, when I got locked up against my will under the Mental Health Act because I made a crazy call I would never make again, though it wasn't untrue what I said, there were parts of it that were definitely being channeled through a fearful persona of mine, personality, and yet what I was tuning into energetically was overwhelming because it was really a lot, as is the fact that we have all been taught things that are not true, but we've believed them to be. So, when we step into the office of man, we are the proper, which is properia persona, in the first person of the office of man, able to direct a responsible authority, which is an agent for the crown, corpse, or whichever corporation is trying to orate the corpses, which is something that is dead, artificial, or not actually living, their orders, orations, to then have a debtor pay for the debts that are incurred by the one whose equity is held in trust under the Vatican, which is where we all got converted into the fiction and then started to even see reality to be non-fiction when it's true. How about we just go back to being true or not true? That is far more clear and obvious than fiction and nonfiction, nonfiction being what is true. That's how we got moved into the debtor position, where we could be deemed a ward of someone's hospital, for instance, or prison, or whatever internment camp or cells outside of these cells of mine within me, as an independent, self-governing operative. No operative at all, for I have a soul operating the form that I hold. Operatives and missions being then when we take on external things and need permission, because every mission is then divided. So, I say all of this because when this rollout takes place of a universal basic needs income, we are inviting the entities in with the identities we have to check the box of. Because politics are the poles I tick. Poles I tick. Politics. Religion is the religioning of us based on our belief systems, where we give validity to an identity that is outside of what is true and instead incorporated into a corporate realm. So if we look at that triangle, we start to see that it is not part of reality except for realistic evidence appearing legit, and tomorrow's yesterday is my acronym for reality. Bless me. Whew. Yeah, I could use some blessings. We could all use some blessings. And I get stuffed up because I've got a cat that I may have some allergies to, and I also am missing my man who is at a distance, and so I sniff him out and cannot find him. So in the mornings when I wake up here, I have a stuffy nose. And yeah, that's just a little fun fact about Laura J, who delivered this message today and says that income is not the same as an equal exchange of energy for service rendered. But if we're rendering something, aren't we breaking it down? All of these terms are spells because we spell the words. And then some would say this is witchcraft, but then I say, witchcraft are you referring to? There are lots of arts and proclaiming sciences, some with dollar signs through the S that make it into a one-lined dollar sign that is backed by nothing but the people's trust, which is what a fiat is. And then we actually look at the word counterfeit, which is spelled F-E-I-T for the fiat, which is similar to a fiat or a decree or an oration by someone who says they are doing it on behalf of their nation, such as what an agent would. And I say, if we could work on the identities we have accepted, we'll stop checking the boxes that put us into smaller and smaller and smaller spaces that limit our ability to actually be our whole selves, so that then we can only be but the hue of man, where even you see, as the sun has stopped getting as much attention, or parts of my skin have flaked off, I have different colors or different hues on the skin. The law would say those are colors of law, because it's changing the original answer to be something other than we originally said, which means our word is no longer our bond. Therefore, the bond that is taken out with every charge to the credit card our person is. Allows us to be captured. And sometimes it's cute, and sometimes we like it, but sometimes we don't. And if we don't know how to actually spike that volleyball back over the net, then we could fall prey to that which we pray to. Remembering that in the Roman times, the praes, P-R-A-E-S, were the smaller and smaller cells that the peasants, paupers, and poor people were placed in. So I hope all of this is useful to you.